nothing in it for us. We're not interested. We're also bad.
We're all set?
They were pretty,
Okay, we're ready to go.
pretty avaricious this time.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the January 30th, 2020 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission. This is a regular meeting of the Montclair Historic Preservation Commission. Notice has been given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting a copy of the notice on the first floor here in the Municipal Building and by sending a copy to the Montclair Times, the Star Ledger, and the Herald News. Tonight we will be broadcast live on Channel 34, and also there's a podcast on YouTube which you can look at in the future. Mr. Petto, roll call, please.
Yes, Chair Bennett.
Here.
Vice Chair Hyman.
Here.
Mr. Greenbaum is excused. Mr. Rooney.
Here.
Ms. Kane-Levy.
Here.
Mr. Reimnitz is excused. Mr. Karasik.
Yeah.
And Mr. Connolly.
Here.
Thank you. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which is a special meeting of January 9th. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Are there any changes or?
It's fine with.
No comment.
Will someone make a motion to accept?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The minutes of January 9th, 2020 are accepted and go down for forever. Is there any public comment at this time? Would anyone like to speak on anything other than what the applications are? No. Okay. Committee reports. We have 5 committees. And so this is, being that this is the beginning of the year, we haven't become that active yet, but we'll see what everyone has been doing, if anything's happened since January 1st. So the first one is design and redevelopment. Mr. Rooney, have you?
The DRC?
Yes.
I'm thinking back, what in the world did we do at the DRC?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, I think just to split it up.
Yeah.
So the Design Review and Redevelopment Committee is a subcommittee of the HPC that reviews the redevelopment or development applications in consultation with the Planning Board. The Development Review Committee, as Mr. Rooney's alluding to, is a different pre-site plan review committee, but I can allude to that if you wanted me to share the update.
Sure, if you can remember.
I think we reviewed 2 applications. One being the 3A North Willow, which is scheduled for this evening, and then the other. Did we review the Bellevue Theater at that meeting? Possibly.
No.
No. I don't recall exactly what the other one was.
We,
But they review site plan applications for an advisory capacity before they come before any other body. So.
Okay. So we've had 2 that have been reviewed so far.
yeah,
Sure.
you know, what happens is that it comes to us and we try to spot things
Right.
that could be real problems in a full.
Right, meeting, okay. Education and outreach, I can report that I gave a presentation to West Essex Board of Realtors at Sotheby's concerning historic preservation at the Sotheby's on Valley Road, and it was very interesting. It was a very brief presentation. I had a PowerPoint. I had all the manuals that we confer, and it was interesting to note that the realtors really didn't have any idea, most of them, that we had historic districts in town. So I think one of our goals for this upcoming year should be that we reach out more. I think also what's interesting might be that we reach out in regard to residential properties as well.
Right.
So it was interesting, you know, to delineate what the different historic districts were between the national, state, and local, and really just to show people how to use the interactive map on the Montclair website, which is a great resource, and they were very happy with that, pleased. All right, landmark nominations. Do you want to give us an update on?
I guess just the update. Unfortunately, we're a little delayed with SHPO as far as finalizing the grant authorization agreement. We've sent everything down to Trenton. I'm just waiting to hear from SHPO to give us the green light to proceed with the RFP for retention of the historic preservation consultant for the survey of the estate section. That's our CLG funding for this grant round is to do a historic survey of the estate area. So as soon as we get the green light from SHPO, we'll be posting the request for proposals for historic preservation consultant to do a study of that area. So.
Okay, and then the grant proposal went in for next year, correct?
That's correct, yes. We did submit a CLG grant application for the 2020 round through DEP and SHPO again. This grant application is for an update to our residential design guidelines within our adopted historic design guidelines document, and also preparation of an information pamphlet, small brochure that we intend in the grant application to place at hardware stores, other local home improvement stores, also distribute to realtors or other other interested parties as a quick reference as to how to rehabilitate or treat historic properties sensitively in accordance with our design guidelines.
Are we going to notify the people in these historic neighborhoods before Conley shows up and he gets attacked?
We can certainly, I think that going through this round, we'll do some communications outreach with the Township Communications Department that the historic survey will be going on, and that there'll be some survey work that's happening, yes.
So I have a question, Graham. In order to contact people, you must have some type of contact at each property? I don't know. Do you have an email for each property, or?
For which property?
For any, in a historic district, or proposed district.
It's just the tax assessment.
It's just
record.
the,
It's
we
just
have
the
mailing
tax-
addresses,
It's
right.
just, and then if we were to mail something, it doesn't have to go registered mail, does it?
Well, it depends on the process. So
For
if
just
it's-
unofficial
if
notice.
it's unofficial, it
Unofficial
can just be
mail.
regular mail,
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, like if going forward, that
Mhm.
you could mail, it doesn't have to be a registered letter,
Mhm.
which would cost thousands, $1,000.
Mhm.
Okay,
Could possibly, yes.
okay, thank you. Minor applications?
We met a couple weeks ago and reviewed, I think, 3 applications. And there were no issues with the 3 that we reviewed at that time. So.
And do we have another meeting coming up
Yeah, we just scheduled one next Friday.
for next Friday?
7th.
Okay. And then revisions?
Revisions, I shared out revised details on the window sketches for the window replacement at the 3rd level of the Chase Bank, which Chair Bennett and Mr. Reimnitz reviewed. And the revisions to the plan sheet submitted were consistent with the certificate that was approved. And then we also are looking to schedule another revisions committee meeting with the applicant for 117 Valley Road. That was the Board of Adjustment application for 3 townhouses. They've made some amendments to their plans based on our recommendations as required by the zoning board approval. So we'll be scheduling a meeting to review those with the applicant.
When is that meeting? You haven't spoken to Mr.
I'm
Reimnitz
still,
yet?
I
Okay.
need to communicate with Mr. Reimnitz.
That's something that's not coming back to us here, just to the committee?
So it goes first to the revisions committee. If the revisions committee cannot find consensus with the applicant, then that comes to the full commission, so.
Okay, and then we just met prior to this meeting for the subcommittee for the ordinance update, so we're still working on that.
We're going to have another meeting on the 7th.
Right, at 9 o'clock. Okay, old business. There being no old business, we'll move right into new business. And right. So, the presenting will be, it's the HPC Certificate of Appropriateness Application 2019-43, 596 Valley Road, the Uptown Bistro. And this application has been referred from the Minor Application Committee. It concerns new awning installation, and this building is in the Upper Montclair Historic Business District. Thank you.
Would you gentlemen raise your right hand? Are you an attorney by chance?
No,
I don't know, you have a tie on, you know?
I didn't know what the protocol was.
I'm the only,
watching-
I'm the only attorney who
I'm
can
watching
wear a tie.
CNN and Fox.
Anyway, could you guys raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give this commission, truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, could you state your name and your affiliation with the applicant for the record?
Paul McCarthy, I'm the owner of Uptown Bistro at 596 Valley Road.
Hi.
And I'm J.C. Aviles with Competitive Science and Graphics here in Montclair.
Thanks so much.
Before you give your testimony, I'd just like to say a little bit about the building significance. 596-8 Valley Road is identified in the 2006 nomination report as a Georgian Revival style structure built in 1908, was designed by Theodore Vischer, and is categorized as a key building in the historic district. Located at a prominent corner of Valley and Bellevue Avenue, this three-story building design consists of brick and limestone facade with a later classical style first-floor commercial space. In 1933, the Montclair Trust Company, who was then the occupant of the first floor, introduced the present limestone facade, which consists of round arch apertures, ionic pilasters, and engaged columns, topped by a denticulated cornice. Now, your building, the building that, and the facade that you're speaking about is the one to the south, which does not have these.
It's not part of that.
Identifying,
Displayed there, yeah.
right. So that, your building is really part of the original building that was built in 1908 with the original storefront.
Correct, so it's, I'd say now it's actually four parts to it. One is Learning Express, one is now a chocolate shop, one is an entrance to the apartments, and they're all part of the limestone and the pillars and all of that historical structure. The part where my restaurant is set up in a different architectural manner, some sort of tin or aluminum frontage in a different color. So nothing that's described in the 2006 report, and even the photograph of the building at that time, doesn't show any of the place where any of the part where the restaurant is.
Right.
It's actually a pretty unappealing part of the building right now.
You think so?
I don't think so.
Well,
Depends on who you're appealing to.
Right.
we're trying to appeal to restaurant customers.
All right.
Okay, so
Those ignoramuses.
So the application proposes to install a new awning. This was actually heard at the minor applications committee, and at that point, it's been referred back to the entire commission. So you understood, did you get a copy of our concerns at that meeting?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to tell us what you're proposing now?
Well, I was talking to Paul, and we got the email from Graham, Mr. Petto here, that he sent, that it was obviously denied at the minor committee, and it was going to be referred to the big committee here to see what else we can do. But after talking to Paul, there's a few things that he is really interested in, because he actually took the time to go around at nighttime and see some of the businesses that we've done awnings for also, and other signage around, and they stand out. So his property and his place is very dark. There's not any kind of lighting as per se on that area of the address where he is. And we actually have some pictures here that we can share with you so you can see at nighttime, because it's easy to see it during the day. Even during the day you miss it, because the building has the glass panels up on top. So what an awning would do, it will bring the business a little bit forward. So it makes it so that it creates a few things. It helps with shading, because you get some sunlight in those top glass panels as well. We're going to leave the sides of the awnings open as well. So we're not closing that completely. So it's going to be done in about 2 or 3 sections, the awning, and it's going to be a continuous awning, as you see it on the picture. The other thing also is that besides creating some shade for those tables that sit at the very front there when the sun hits the storefront, it also helps the business be more visible on the street and across the street, and not be able to be missed at nighttime, because he's also proposing some lighting. So that's what I discussed with him, and I have, you have the same pictures here, right?
Well, can I?
Yeah, sure.
Is lighting part of your application? Because we don't have.
It's under the
On the very last page, you show gooseneck lighting.
Oh,
Show
I
your-
didn't see
Your
that.
building too, I want to see that. Let's pick this. Yeah, that's probably still back. Yeah, I'm gonna pick the
Oh, I see. So that's this.
Stone one. That's good. And then maybe this one. There's your building. I don't see it. Yeah. So, I don't know if you want to see some
Yes,
pictures.
you can, please.
So these are some of the buildings up and down. You can just pass it on. Sure. And this is his building. At night time. Let's see if you have any more.
Complete sets.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, do you have, it looks as though it's, is it closed now? or
Oh,
is
yeah,
it-
at that time it was, that, to be fair, yes.
Right, so I would, I would think
I
there would be
would-
more illumination.
Thank you.
I guess, isn't it that way? Did you say this?
We got it here.
Oh. So I know one of the concerns at the committee was that, do you have a picture of the tin that's in front? I think you have it, Tom, and that there's nothing, was the way that everything was going to be attached to the facade, and that you would,
You only would be on, starting with this section here.
right.
down.
And what about the lights?
Have one right.
Do you know that?
Explain that. They're gonna go.
The awning would be here,
Right,
and that's,
below-
that's in wood? Is that in wood?
This part is wood, yes.
Okay. And where would the lights be attached?
So the lights would be attached above all of that fascia, I suppose it's called, right? In the brick where your fingers are, your left-hand fingers up there. Right, so we put an unexposed piping on top of that right here, and they would come out from there.
That's not what your drawing shows.
Yeah, I realize that. That, I have discussed that with the architect, and he didn't change that drawing, but, you know, with relating to your concern
Right.
about the fascia, if that's what it's called,
Right.
I did propose to put the, and even I think it would be, before your comments even came out, I thought it would be a better look than having it into this area, to put it above here where the piping would be unseen.
Well, it looks as though the back plate of the, so this kind of gooseneck, how large is the back plate where it holds on to? Do you
That
have-
I could not tell you.
So, Mr. Conley, do you have a picture? Do you see what they're
I do,
proposing?
yeah.
Okay.
This plate right here? Okay.
No, should be, where?
Like what would be behind, what that would come into the piping? Follow like this.
Okay, so,
Okay.
just to move it forward,
Yes.
you're proposing your awning to be along
Right, exactly.
here, and then the lighting to be
Up there.
above.
Correct.
Attached to that, right.
Like above, into that brick where your pen is, right? So above all of that ornate fascia
Right,
material, tin, aluminum material.
okay, and how, so those are the two things that we're
Yes.
discussing?
Okay.
So, do we have any questions for the applicant from our Commission?
The only question I have is, how big is that arm going to be? It's not going to be like flipped over.
The arm of the light.
Right. It's not going to be flipped, it's going to be much longer drop.
We can find that out.
It's going to be much higher. I don't know if that'll actually detract from anything, because the goosenecks that they've shown all over, you don't really see what's supporting it.
Do you have any questions?
No, no questions.
Questions?
Just comments.
The other thing I was thinking is, have you thought about an alternate means of lighting instead of the goosenecks?
No, I haven't. I wouldn't really suppose that, I wouldn't know of any other method, really.
Well, the only thing I can suggest is that underneath the cornice there's a reveal that where you might be able to put in LED lighting, but I don't know if that would.
Okay. That's an interesting idea.
Mr. Conley, do you have a comment?
Well, yeah, there are other types of lights you can specify. Bar type fixtures, just one long or maybe two of those. I'm concerned that you're installing the lighting above the entablature as the whole piece there. It was nice in the drawing where everything's kind of at the entablature level and below. With lights installed above, it kind of gets a little messy, I think. The goosenecks are kind of getting ubiquitous. They're
No, I
kind of
understand.
everywhere now. So I've seen these bar types of lights which might clean up the whole elevation, which they are shown there. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I think the lighting is something that needs to be worked out. But I'm not opposed to it.
Do you have the picture from the Montclair, the blue, with the blue awning, the diner?
Yeah.
It used to be.
These nice.
Is that a different type of fixture?
Yeah, those look like they're recessed fixtures, recessed into that pent
Yeah, the
roof that was.
recessed into that soffit.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that structure actually has, in effect, two awnings. There's one that the building has itself, and then the diner has below it its own awning. So it's a double awning situation there.
Which is similar to what we have going on here. You have the entablature structure as a separate feature
Well, that's
to the awning.
Right.
something up there.
We just need to investigate a little more about the lighting.
Yeah, one suggestion on the thin LED strip lighting that Mr. Conley was referring to is the.
Well, not LED.
Well,
yeah.
it would be, but on the, I think it's 505 at the Montclair Film Festival building, and also 491 Bloomfield. Is it 491? The other bank that was redone. That has the Crazy Mocha coffee in it. So they did a series of LED strip lighting on that building facade to illuminate these architectural elements. So perhaps if there was a way that you could do some of that thin strip lighting along to shine up onto, I mean, this is a key defining, I think,
Yeah.
feature of this storefront thing. You're kind of highlighting that architectural element instead of hiding it above an awning, so.
So the Montclair Film Festival built, Montclair Film?
Yeah, the Montclair Film Festival building. That's 505 Bloomfield, and then I think it's the 491 Bloomfield Avenue building. And also, I think the Madison building did similar lighting techniques, where they did these thin LED strips around these architectural elements to shine up on them and kind of
The
illuminate
Madison
them.
building is what?
That's, what number is
Drive
that?
by tonight.
I keep running up all these numbers.
It's, the Madison building is down by South
Behind
Fullerton.
it's the next building after the bank at Glen Ridge. Where
On
Glen
Glen
Ridge
Ridge,
splits
on-
off.
on
You
the
have
north
bank at
side.
the triangular
Okay.
corner, the
Oh,
next
okay.
building.
I got it, okay.
Same thing. Just a suggestion for.
Okay.
It's
So-
a way to
I-
better
I did
highlight
have
these
a
elements.
question. Regarding the awning and the issue of providing shade, did you consider the interior shades as opposed to the awning?
Well, it sounds to me like they want to use this awning more more
Is
of
a
a sign than a
Yeah,
actual shade.
but my thought is if we're rethinking the lighting and you're having lights shine up on the architectural details, whether or not the awning will block all that. Like, does that
To
change
shine
the
up
whole?
on the architectural details,
Yeah, I think what,
I mean, honestly,
like if you're having thin strip LEDs here to highlight this cornice area, if you then have a protrusion, so from the sidewalk, you're really not going to see any of that. You might see it from the other side of the street.
exactly, that's
Yeah.
where you would really see it from anyways.
Mhm.
Right, from the other side of the street, you wouldn't
Mhm.
really notice it when you're walking on that side of the
Yeah,
street.
but if you're, walking on the side of the street where the restaurant is,
Yes, I-
yeah.
So I think that we need a little bit more clarification as far as what the lighting will be.
Okay.
We're not opposed to you certainly highlighting your store, and we're certainly work with you with
Okay,
with that.
thank you.
So if you can come up with a more
The lighting?
a lighting plan, and that we can, I mean, we...
Yeah, I think also a specification sheet should be.
Yeah, and we
provided
don't,
for
that's
the
right, we
detailed
don't have a
specs.
specifications
Cut.
sheet
Yeah,
either.
And I don't think we
Relating to
specifically
Right into
said
the
that
details of the lighting.
Excuse me?
this is, by far, I think, hands down, the most beautiful storefront in all of Montclair. It's really a gem. And I think an awning would just obscure all the really lovely, lovely details, so.
So I think if you were a little bit more creative with the lighting, you could really serve the purpose that you want. I mean, is part of the idea of the awning to create, are you putting tables outside? I know there's planters
we-
there now.
We do put tables outside in spring and summer. The awning wouldn't be out far enough that it would, obscure for either shading or for rain in those purposes. It would be, I suppose I'd use the word, decorative or contradicting that it's beautiful the way it is. I mean, I guess the concept is, that the concept that my architect had and I had is that when you said it was in fairness, was the restaurant closed at that time when I took that picture? And that was not trying to play a trick. What happened, when my restaurant closes, I don't eat while I'm working, so I go down to Daikichi and eat afterwards, right? So when I go down the street and I'm on that other part of Valley Road, I come out and wow, look at it here, it's all lit up. And then I look down where my place is, and it's dark, very dark. And one of the reasons is, the beautiful church across the street. It's beautiful in the day, but at night, it's just blackness, right? So the real purpose is, my architect had said just his travels, when I hired him for this job, he said, whenever I drive by at night, you don't notice this place, because there's nothing that stands out about it. There's no, in lighting, or just you wouldn't notice it from the street the way all those other shops
Right.
on the other part of Valley Road you do.
Well, no, and I think we understand that, but I think that a more creative solution with lighting could be achieved the same way. So if you could speak to him and get in touch with Graham, and that we can certainly have our subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, or even consider like a retractable awning or something open that's at the sides, so you don't have that
Well,
blockage.
the issue with the retractable awning is it's going to block more of that detail that you guys like.
Because it
we're
has that
talking
big-
about the brackets.
Yeah.
and then
It
you
has
have
that big
the
block
cassette
box.
part.
Right.
It's practical, yes, you can cover up to 6 feet projection and you can use it for tables and all of that. But we need at least 12 inches
Right.
to be able to install those brackets, and we're going to be drilling into
Yeah,
a lot.
no,
So,
we
and
don't-
it's very hollowed up here, it's not going to be secured well.
Right.
And any kind of wind might create a liability issue with the retractable. That's why we decided to go as slow as we can to the wood part, which will be better for that fixed awning, and expose all of that detail that's there.
And is that wood, the part that you're hoping to attach it to, that piece, is that is that wide enough? I mean, that's why we need a spec sheet. We don't.
Yes, no, I will give you that too, but that's our brackets, the Z brackets that we use for most of the awnings.
Right.
Are 1 inch to grab the piping and 1 inch to support below the piping. So I will provide that detail
Okay.
so that you guys have it for that as well.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
need that too.
Yep.
Okay,
And
so,
then alternate signage, I mean, if that's also an issue, a bracket sign or blade sign is something that is consistent with our policy. And, I mean, I personally could even support maybe a little neon sign in the window that's lit up, you know, with sort of nostalgic, traditional kind of way to sign the building.
okay, so we have
So we'll carry this to
Yeah, so
minor
this will be
application.
the
carried
9 applications for, which could be,
Well, so this would be
7.
carried to the, well, are you saying for the minor application? You'll send this
Yeah.
back to the minor application for the final read? Okay.
yes.
So our next meeting is February 7th, so we can get things in. I don't know how long they
When
want
is
to
the
take,
meeting?
but we're meeting February 7th, but you may need a little bit more time than that. So, but we'll probably meet again, I'd say, probably the week of the 17th. February.
So it'd either be next week or the week after?
Oh, it's 17th,
Or
okay.
2 weeks after that.
Okay.
So I'm sure you could come up, I mean, with,
Yeah, in the next 2 weeks, yeah.
All right, so
Okay.
just to go back to what we need to do is, Paul needs to find out better lighting to accentuate the detail there on the building.
Mhm.
I need to provide the brackets, how the awning are going to be installed.
and a spec sheet, so we
Yep.
see what the measurements are.
Okay.
And how this is going to be.
For the lighting. And I was going to ask one question too. I know you guys mentioned to shoot the lights up instead of, can they be also, can you consider also the lights being in this groove part of that and shooting down so that it goes into the awning and washes? I don't know if you see
I
this
think
part.
we'd have to be careful with the attachments, though, in terms of damaging the cornice. No, the cornice is not
Where
wood,
they
it's
can
pressed metal.
basically just wash all the way across and just shoot down.
How, have you looked at this, Tom? Have you seen this?
Yeah, I did drive by and looked at it. I'm not clear
This is
as to
what I'm
what's
talking about.
wood
This
and
area
what's
here.
metal. The whole
Put
thing
it in
is
this groove
is
here,
metal.
because you got like
The
a
cornice
nice
at least
part.
is metal.
And then
This
the light
cornice,
just
this,
shoots over.
with the detailing, the dental,
Right.
That's something.
but I don't know if this is, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be-
Yeah, we'd have to know what the materials are too, whether it's the metal or wood.
Okay?
So when you get the specifics, that you could let us know that as well.
Very good.
Because it seems to be a combination of materials on this.
Yeah.
I think
Right.
it is.
It's metal. This is definitely metal up on top. Or wood.
Okay,
Okay.
all right, good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
So,
Thank you.
we'll be in
Yeah,
in
so
touch.
as soon as you're ready, submit the things, then we'll get it scheduled for the minor application.
And then we'll just drive by and take a look at those other.
Yeah, yeah, they're lit up right now.
Nighttime right now, so. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, how are you?
Okay, our next application is for certificate of appropriateness. This is application 2019-44, 112 Bloomfield Avenue, celebrity-style groomers. And this is a storefront modification, storefront entry door modification. This project is in the Town Center Historic District, known as Bloomfield Avenue. And it's an existing 1927 two-story brick and cast stone mixed-use building with metal and glass storefronts on the ground floor fronting Bloomfield Avenue and apartments on the second floor. The building is located in the Town Center Historic District and is listed as a contributing resource in the 2004 Town History Historic District Expansion Nomination Report. And the project description is a modification to the easternmost retail space fronting Bloomfield Avenue. So if you could identify yourselves, Mr. Karasik will swear you in.
Gentlemen, raise your right hand, please. Solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the commission is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Absolutely.
Good. Then could you please identify yourselves and just your relation to the applicant?
John Guadagnoli, architect. I prepared the drawings that you have before you.
Okay, I'm Jonathan Wickner. My family were the owners of the building.
Thanks so much.
Okay, so you've presented us with the plans. Could you just go over in a few, abbreviated what you intend to do here?
Yes, the storefront, as you know, has a single door, aluminum and glass door, that is recessed into the space of the actual space, and what it renders it like a third of the space, like almost unusable, because it just extends so far, so deeply into. So as to maintain the integrity of the look, the recess with the display windows in the front, we propose to just simply move the door up approximately 3 foot 6 inches, so that it salvages a lot of internal floor space and still maintains the original look. Now, the existing situation is also unfortunate because the door is so far back and the space available narrows down to just barely fit the door. So you actually have like 2.5 inches on each side of that door, or a few inches on each side, and that's it. So it really narrows down to a funnel. By moving the door towards the street forward, you now have a door with a little bit of space on either side of it. And it's just a little bit more practical, and just trying to get a stroller through there, or even a person who is not very mobile would have a little bit of a hard time. And but we really did it to save floor space, and we think it looks better. The door itself and the surrounding frame is aluminum and glass, anodized silver, aluminum and glass. The windows are insulated. The door currently has an air conditioning unit above it in the transom, but we're getting rid of that. We're doing a split system and with the condenser in the back, so that air conditioner is gone. Everything will be to match. I mean, it's 2 inches by 4 inch aluminum two-frame construction, built on top of a low partition, which has an aluminum kind of a facing on it. It's all anodized silver, and I don't know if you can see it that well from where you are, but just to show you, if you could see that, there's the door. Look, I think, can you see that?
Yes, that would be great.
Of course. Sorry. Okay. You can see the door and the aluminum panels, like to either side of it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's where the door is now.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, you can see it
Thank you.
now.
And then, did you, do you have a signage program in here as well, or?
No, we were not applying for any sign issues. I mean, the sign is there already. We weren't changing
Okay.
anything.
I didn't know if the use was changing, that's why I asked. Of this,
That remains to be seen, because there is no tenant right now.
Okay.
The original one moved out, and that's why we're doing this work now.
got it,
Or
okay.
hope to.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, would you like to have any questions?
The new door is opening in, whereas the previous one was opening out?
The existing one, I believe, opens out. And the reason for that is, and the new one must also, because there's a ramp, like a slope, and if it opened in, it would rub the floor, so it had to.
So the new one's going to open out also?
The new one could do either, because we're leveling the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. And it can, because there's fewer than 50 people of occupancy, so it can go either way.
Questions?
No question.
Caroline?
No questions.
I have a question. You're going to replace the concrete walk that's in front of it?
Well, we have to, because if you move the door up, you're now up in the air a little bit. The sill of the door will be up in the air, so we have to regrade it.
So you'll regrade it down to the down to the sidewalk?
Yes, yes.
To the sidewalk. Is that, do you have a, what is the grade then? Is it, is it going to be that noticeable, the grade?
Well, to keep it from becoming steep,
Right,
right? What we propose is, it's on the plan, is to also pitch a little bit of the sidewalk up to it as well.
okay.
Yeah. It's probably like an inch and a half it's an inch and a half steeper now because the length of the ramp is shortened.
Right.
So now we have to climb just as much in less space, so I'm basically pushing the ramp out to the sidewalk a little bit. But I'm making sure that it's within the parameters of the 10%, that you're allowed.
And the, you're removing the air conditioner?
Yes.
So the transom, what will that be, in aluminum as well?
Does it say it on the picture? I don't.
New door and transom was closer to match existing in anodized aluminum.
Right, so right now, there is no glass above the door.
Right,
We were just gonna, essentially keep it the same way, just without the air conditioner.
but it'll be,
A glass.
oh, glass.
It could, I was thinking not glass, but if it's more historically,
It says transom, so wouldn't that be
Yeah,
a,
new
yeah,
door
by
and transom.
definition, that's glass, yes.
Glass,
Yeah.
right.
Sorry, that's glass. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I guess I read it wrong. Okay, so as long as that's glass. Mr. Conley, do you have some comments?
So the new door, will that meet, well, I see you're putting a handicap bathroom in there, so will the new door meet handicap?
Well,
codes?
it'll be wide enough, but it will not have the
The push and pull requirements on the side
Right,
of the
you
door?
need 12 inches on
So,
one side.
yeah, I think it would be better if the door swung in, because I think the pull requirements are
Right, at least you'd get that.
greater.
Right, right. At least the pull requirement would be met, if not the push, right?
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, I have no problem with the door swinging in. What is the landing in front of the door currently? Is it concrete?
Yes,
Okay.
And you propose to keep it concrete?
yes.
Okay.
I was just wondering if it was another material.
What is the dark showing in the photograph then?
That's a rubber mat,
Oh,
like a, you took, yeah. This was taken before anything began,
And what condition is the aluminum on the, underneath the windows?
I'd say not bad, but not great. It's not perfect. I have a photo of it here, and you can see there's a little bit of, and I don't know if that's just the salt from or something that you can see here.
Well, is there anything anything to clean it, or that you could, because you're
Yeah.
proposing to keep that, correct?
Yeah, if it could be refurbished or cleaned, I'd love to, yeah, sure. You'd see the neighbors is better. The neighbors is
Right.
actually okay. It's
Right.
this one. So I don't know if that's
Oh,
just
okay.
surface dirt or something. If it has to be replaced, we'll do it. It's okay.
Okay. Well, that should be one of what we look at.
We can probably, I work more in maintenance, so I'm good with these sorts of things. Yeah, it could probably be polished, so that it's not, the grade isn't even, or there might be like scratches. We can definitely polish it, to make it look really nice and vibrant.
Okay.
Well, when you raise a sidewalk, right, that relationship of the sidewalk to the panels is going to change. I'm just curious as to how that gets resolved. But that's more.
Yeah, because so the panel would have to be cut back slightly.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's very, very little. It's not much. It's less than 2 inches. It's like an inch,
Right.
and then it'll feather down to normal, or to what it is now. It's just around the immediate threshold, opening, I'm sorry, that mouth that you go in, that it's going to have to just pitch away a little bit.
Right. Bloomfield's is a county road. Have you gone through them about changing the sidewalk?
No, but as long, I'm going to keep it within the required, parameters.
Just warning you, you may have to deal with the county.
Oh, right.
all right, should we discuss it?
All right, so, yes.
I think it looks perfectly acceptable and
Yeah.
can prove it.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it. I've just, as a condition, just confirmed that the transom would be glass and that they refurbish the aluminum.
Right, and then the doors and the light fixtures, if you're proposing anything in the future, and the signage in the future would have to come back to us for a subcommittee. Wouldn't necessarily have to come here for that. So those are the conditions then, Graham? And to refurbish the metal that's on the,
Yes, yeah, you have my word.
okay. So we have four conditions.
So three.
Okay.
Motion to approve with conditions?
I so move.
Second.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
It looks like it'll be a great improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schedule.
Okay, our next is a referral from the Board of Adjustment, application 2669, 17 Greenview Way. This is a bulk variance to construct additions to a dwelling in the R1 one-family zone. And this is the Fairway Greenview Belgrove Potential Historic District. The reason we are reviewing it. The subject property is an interior lot located on the eastern side of Greenview Way between Bellevue Avenue to the south and Club Road to the north. The property is currently developed with a 2.5-story single-family dwelling. And as I said, the property is in a proposed historic district. And we checked the date of this is...
Yeah, just to clarify, I didn't include it in my report, but the date of construction for the dwelling is 1973. There was a question on that, so.
Okay, because most of the other properties within that district are older. So I just wanted to make
Yeah,
that...
predominantly 1930s and 40s.
30s and 40s. So you have submitted your drawings, and I see that you've got a big, a larger one that is a copy of this, I guess.
Yes.
Okay. So we need you to swear and...
Could you raise your right hands, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Good. Could you identify yourselves, please, and your relation? It seems like you're the homeowners, the applicants, but identify yourself and say what your relation is to the applicant.
I'm the homeowner.
I'm the architect.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't know you.
The other homeowner sitting back there.
Aha. Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me then.
Julianne Cecier, the architect.
And
No,
who are you?
he's not.
Hi.
Okay, well, thank you. So can you just walk us through verbally what you intend to do with this addition?
Yes, so the addition is a two-part addition. It's a one-story addition to the rear of the house, and then it's an addition over the garage. And we are here before you because we need a variance. One of the variances is because of the width of the house is non-conforming to the percentage of the lot. With the addition over the garage, it's over the allowable percentage that the width of the house should be. I did design the addition, though, to not go the entire width of the house. I did step it back, so that way it doesn't go over the rest of the garage. And that would be for two reasons. The first one is I didn't want to create a big box and have it just be this big looming second-story addition. And the other reason was also because I knew that we had this width to contend with, and I didn't want to be egregious. So that was a way of marrying the project with the parameters, trying to stay as close to it as possible. So the addition happens over the garage, and I tried to design it so that way it matched the characteristics of the house. There's an existing dormer on the opposite side. We have colored renderings of the front and back. And so the new addition matches, the new dormer matches the existing dormer. And the height of the addition matches the existing height of the roof. The pitch of the new roof matches the existing pitch. Details like the vertical siding and the width of the soffit, all of those details on the addition will match those details of the original house. So the goal was to make it look like it's always been part of the original house as opposed to it tacked on to the garage. The addition off the back, again, is a one-story addition. I don't think for the neighborhood will be affected, you won't be able to see it from the street, but again, we did want to put in details that match the existing home, so that way even from the backyard, it matches the house as well. The house is non-conforming to the side yard setbacks. On the left-hand side, we do conform on the right-hand side, but again, it is that percentage to the width that we need the variance. And we did also notice for the front yard, in case that was another variance, that we would need the average of the neighbors' houses if it winds up being necessary. Although I think based on the Google Earth view that I've taken and tried to do preliminary numbers, it looks like we are within that front yard setback. But if it's deemed necessary, it's something that we will be asking for. The neighborhood is an eclectic mix of houses, and there's quite a bit of different variety of architectural styles. This is really not one that would have to match any of them. It wouldn't be an addition that I would say should match any of them, because this house doesn't look like any of the houses that are on the street. So I think it's unique in its own style, and the addition is designed for this house, not for the neighborhood or not for a style that should be matched to somebody else. So I think it's appropriate for the house and appropriate for the proportions that we're putting into it.
Well, just to be clear, you're before us because it is a proposed historic district, so we have to look at it that it fits in with the neighborhood. But I personally think the house is really not one of the traditional ones that are there. So I think characteristically it has its own little specialty, and I think that you've done a good job with, the design to this particular house. So, having said that, I'll open it up for questions.
No question.
Questions?
No questions.
Mr. Conley, you did mention that the additions are compatible with the scale and proportion of the existing and fit within the overall asymmetrical composition.
I did, and I agree with you that I think the work that you did works well with the existing architecture of the house. I will take exception to your comment that the dormer matches the one on the other side because it's slightly different, which I think works to your favor for the facade of the house. I think it works well.
Thank you. And I agree. I think it's true to the house, and it doesn't overwhelm the house, and I think it can support this approval.
Okay, so I think we find that we're all in agreement, and if we'll go forward to the zoning board now, and saying that that's who grants the variances.
I think for purposes of the memorandum, I think including Mr. Connolly's comment as part of the memo
Right.
goes over the.
Yeah, that we recommend the grant of the variance. I think based
that-
on my review, it doesn't, there's no impact to this, the footprint as visible from the street.
Right.
And the
Doesn't
period of
change it.
significance for this area is the late 1920s and the 1930s. So this particular property wouldn't necessarily be a contributing property. So the
Right.
alterations, I don't think impact the zone as a whole. I think that the additions are in scale with the neighborhood.
Yeah, I think it'll be a nice addition.
Great.
Okay.
Thank
Good
you so
luck.
much.
Sure.
Really odd, wasn't it?
Yeah, my father.
He was a classmate in Long School, I didn't really know.
No, I'll tell him. She's babysitting right
I remember.
now. All right, thanks.
Can we take, So we'll take a break, a 5-minute break now?
We have the 3A North Willow is not here, but the 33 Brookfield.
Oh, okay.
Our architect's supposed to be on his way. He's running late, but. We're the homeowners. Angela, Robert, how you doing?
You solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the commission is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
We do.
And you just identified yourself, but could you identify yourself again, just?
Homeowners, Robert and Angela, Lagomarsino.
Thanks so much.
Okay, this is a referral from the Board of Adjustment, application 2669, 33 Brookfield Road. It's a bulk variance for additions to dwelling in the R2 two-family zone, and you're coming before us because it's in the Oak Croft Potential Historic District. Did you say that your architect is coming as well?
He's supposed to be on his way. He should have been here, but however, I think we can.
Okay. So this property is in the Oak Croft Historic District, Potential Historic District, excuse me, which, I don't have my little, here, it was identified in the historic preservation element of the Township Master Plan, which was adopted in November of 2016. The application has been referenced to the Historic Preservation Commission for advice in accordance with Montclair Code 347-142. Oak Croft area was developed, a development of single-family homes and advertised in the early 1900s as a neighborhood of large lots, deep front yards, and tree-lined streets. Architectural styles are varied. They include Tudor Revival, Queen Anne, Craftsman, and Colonial Revival. And as I mentioned before, this property was surveyed in 2019 as part of the Oak Croft Historic Survey. It is the subject property is identified as a potential contributing property in the Oak Croft areas. So you've provided plans here.
1912 it's from.
I'm sorry?
The house is 1912.
1912.
So, the plan. So we're looking to do a setback variance on the second floor.
You have to speak into the microphone.
I'm sorry, this is the proper way to proceed, but we're going to the zoning to get a setback variance primarily on the second floor to bring it forward a bit.
Okay, so you're proposing an addition over the existing porch?
Correct.
Okay. Everybody has the plans?
Did you get a copy of Mr. Connolly's
I do,
report?
and I agree with everything on it. Except for the existing porch question slightly. Because, we'd like to open it up that way, and I understand that's the historic character of the houses in the area.
Well, I'm not saying to open it up, I'm just
I'm thinking about, I'd like to maximize the windows on there.
Yes,
And
that would-
also, more opening to the rest of the house.
And it would
maybe
look like it
French
did
doors or
historically
something.
if we got rid of some of the solid wall.
Right, I agree. I would love to open it up, and that's what I'm considering doing, making it more of a glass exposure. And we're actually appearance of the front porch again.
Right.
But at the same time, it would make it, it's already winterized, it would make it a nice winterized, keep it a nice space. And the sunlight from that direction comes up, it's great, since we live on the street already, on that side of the street.
No, I think it's a great
sunlight.
house. It's a nice
We like
craftsman
American
style
chestnut.
house.
It's got poured concrete foundation. It's a really nice house for 1912.
Yep.
American chestnut's beautifully done.
So before we go over those, let's just see if any of the commission members have any questions.
Well, I'm a little confused by the drawings. I'm sorry. Because we don't have existing versus proposed. so I
The
don't
existing
really
are on the
know.
last sheet, I believe. Maybe second to last.
Well, I want to start with a question. These vertical elements
Yeah.
that line up with the existing concrete pillars that are there, pilasters that are there, are they staying, or are you
Well, yeah, I don't mind them staying at all. I'm just saying, what I was referring to, Mr. Connolly, was just simply maybe on the enclosed porch area, minimizing any other area and expanding the glass to give it more of an open porch.
I think those are to remain. I remember looking at this house and with Margaret, and it's a really nice house. There's a lot of it. It's been modified.
Right.
All the houses on the block have been modified
yeah.
heavily. This is not one. This one may be one of the few that may not have been too modified.
But you can still read the craftsman elements in it, and I think in my review of it, I think we want to, I don't think the current design kind of works its way towards keeping some of those elements, so in my review, I said, well, let's tweak some of these things to keep that craftsman style.
Okay. So have you read Mr. Conley's?
Yeah, I have a copy here, and we agree with almost everything about it, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the first one, which is the, keeping the low-pitched tip roof shape. What, do you agree with that?
Well, I don't know, none of the other, I understand where it's the original roof line. None of the other homes in the area have that.
Well, none of the other ones near you are a craftsman style house, and that type of roof is a character defining feature of the house, so.
Sure,
I was
sure.
wondering if, you'd have to ask your architect, but.
It's quite possible it can be kept up.
But it sounds like you want to use the third floor and.
Right, but we would put it with sunlights, and we prefer that over the dormers, I think, so.
But the dormers would be in keeping with that style, so that's why I
Right,
suggested.
you suggested dormers, which, I see what you're saying. I don't think, I was gonna.
So more than one of them, might work for
What's
you.
that? Sorry,
And more than one dormer might work, so you can put one on the front, which, does it currently have one? I believe it does, right?
It does have one, yes.
Maybe add two more,
Mm-hmm.
and still get the use of the third floor, but through a different way.
So, but redesigning a roof line is,
Well, it currently is.
Well,
Right.
we can raise the
but-
roof. and keep
Yeah,
the same
they are
roof
raising
line.
the
they,
roof. to
that's
get-
what I'm, yeah.
That's what I'm thinking that you're trying to, I would do then, and
Yeah.
raise the
I
roof and
mean-
keep the same kind of feature.
We
Okay.
kind of have to look at it again. Somebody's going to have to redesign this, and
Right.
it's going to look completely different.
When are they going before the zoning board?
February 19th.
Okay. I mean, we can put it as a recommendation if they want to alter their design, and then it will go before the zoning board.
Architect, excuse us.
Okay. So, we'll bring you up to speed, but have you had a chance to, first you need to be sworn in.
Mr. Varela. Good for you, Dick. Mr. Varela, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give the commission is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Could you identify yourself and what you're doing for this project?
Sure. My name is Wiesencek Varela. I'm the architect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Varela, have you had a chance to review the recommendations from Mr. Conley, the HPC consultant?
No, I have not.
Oh,
We've been busy. So they were commenting about the one low roof pitch line. This feature here as a architectural feature, even though there are areas that have all changed over, they're suggesting keeping that as an element.
Okay.
I had encapsulated that correctly, I believe. Keeping it as an element, you're suggesting, right? You
Right.
Raise the third floor slightly, maybe keeping that as an architectural element, the low level, the low pitch roof you're suggesting, and use of dormers instead of sunlights.
Well, I mean, are you okay with that?
Yeah, if we can work it out, they're suggesting altering it before the next, the meeting.
the zoning
The zoning
board,
meeting,
which is
February
the 17th.
17th.
So we've...
19th.
19th, sorry. So we've covered number 1 and number 2. Number 3 is the second floor is wood shingle, not vinyl.
Sure, I understand what you know with that.
The
sure.
original siding should be preserved?
I
Okay.
have no problem with siding for that.
Okay, and I didn't catch what Mr. Conley was saying about first floor porch, would not have been enclosed. I thought it said should. So it's still going to be enclosed, but you're going to work on The
We'd like to
win-
open it up with more windows as much as possible.
Great.
Okay,
That would give it an area or feel. And
okay. And then the proposed use, the windows,
yeah, we asked for more windows, and he put that second. I don't know what we're going to do with it if we use dormers instead. I mean, so I don't know how, but we asked for more windows when they were doing the original two, and he had stuck the double hung windows on that third floor, which just as I was never going to actually use that. I was going to use something a little differently ultimately when I deal with my contractor, but that was, you'd like to change the windows to something else too. That was your speaking about the.
Well, yeah, the use of the paired windows is
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
you- Right, all of a sudden, on the second floor, you went from, right, single windows downstairs to paired
is
windows
that
on
what
the
you're
second floor,
speaking of?
which kind of, is just kind of a jumble of.
I don't have it in front of me, sorry.
Do you need a copy of the plan for reference?
Oh,
Yeah, take one.
sorry about that.
Thank you.
so then you agree that the windows would be
The
changed?
front at the second floor.
The front,
From the second floor.
I see.
So how are you suggesting it? I'm sorry, sir.
well, what,
I think the
Okay.
existing condition that it's single windows, and there you have two sets of paired windows on the second floor at the front facade.
Oh, okay.
So it would just be retaining one window in place of two paired windows.
Could we do one larger window than the previous, or?
Well-
Would it be the same size as?
I don't know, it's.
we'd have to see the
Yeah,
proportion of the window.
Right.
Because Craftsman stylistically would have a wider window.
Yeah, so,
I mean, over the entrance door, there's, we have the door, and then we have windows on both sides. Do you think it would be appropriate to do 3 windows on that side? And then perhaps just 1 window on the other side?
3 windows where? On
Over
the first,
floor?
which floor are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry, on the second floor?
He's suggesting a grouping of 3 windows on one side.
Oh, I
and
see,
then one-
to keep the linear, and then put one on this side.
I really, I really can't say. It's, you kind of have to design it. Yeah,
Yes.
All right, we'll propose it. We'll propose something else.
Thank you.
And then, well, there were 2 more comments about the windows. If there were paired windows separated with the mullion, which I think now you're moving away from the paired windows. And all new windows should have exterior flat stock casing, a drip cap, and a visible historic sill. So it's the way the windows are actually,
On the first, the way they're shown on the first floor, right, there's a casing and a sill, and they kind of disappeared on the second floor.
So you said like casing, sill, and what else?
It's on the
But
back.
we have-
If you just flip that memo over.
If you mimic
there.
the windows on the first floor, that's kind of what we're.
Okay.
and the shutters should be avoided.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I don't, okay. Actually, I did a project in Hackensack without shutters, and they asked me for shutters. I was surprised over there. But yeah, no shutters.
Is there any other further discussion from Mr. Rooney, or?
No.
And what is the proposed, I don't want to open this up, the proposed, if you maintain the cedar shingles on the top, the new siding, what do you propose that to be?
I haven't really given it much thought. I mean, I like the wood look, I just haven't really gotten there between, I haven't really thought it out that far.
Oh, well, that's,
Well, what wood do I propose? Cedar sounds lovely, I may do that very well. I just haven't.
well, that would be one of our,
Well, so, I mean, typically how we do this is we ask the applicant to come back for final review of all finishes and materials. So,
Okay.
so just to expound upon this for the applicant's benefit as well, so the commission will be preparing a memo that will go over to the zoning board of adjustment. So when you appear at the zoning board, they'll have a copy of a report from this body summarizing everything. One of those recommendations or requests that the commission may make to the zoning board is that you go back here to show your siding materials, windows, all other finished materials when you guys have those figured out for the commission to review and assist in the selection process.
So we would have like we would have samples?
Exactly, yes, she'll come back with sample cut sheets, hard samples for us to take a look at on site to select.
It most likely would be something on site.
Yeah,
So
and
you wouldn't have to
the
come
commission
back.
does that through,
I don't mean to be sitting on
the
site.
commission does that through a subcommittee, so you won't be back before this full body. It would be on, they can meet on site at the property and look at those
I
things.
got you now.
But my point is that, don't think about vinyl siding.
Yeah, I got that, no, I understand that. And I'm utterly in sympathy here. I'm just haven't thought it out that far yet.
Okay, so, do we have any other recommendations, or is that the list that?
Yeah, Graham, do you have the recommendations that we want to make?
Well, it sounds like,
Entirely
Chair
clear.
Bennett was going
We're just
through
gonna go through
Mr.
it.
Connolly's report, so it sounds like, I think the commission is in support of, addressing items 1 through 8 of
Yep.
Mr. Connolly's report.
Yep.
Number 9, I would suggest that we add, as we just discussed, the review of final finishes materials
Okay.
here at the HPC.
And is this scheduled, you'll have, when is this scheduled to go?
This is scheduled February 19th. at the
February,
zoning
all
board.
right, so you have a week to,
Yeah, so, well, I want to just caution, I know from experience you had Mr. Rooney and Ms. Bennett at the zoning board. The zoning board has been a little bit concerned when they see new plans. Because sometimes the applicant walks in with new plans and their first question is, well, what did the HPC say about these new plans? And, then the applicant says, well, we haven't shown these to the HPC yet. So I think my recommendation to the applicant may be to proceed with the plans as is with the comments that we have. And I think add an additional comment 10 here, that the applicant come back with the as-approved revised plans per the above comments. It creates kind of a difficult situation for the zoning board.
well, can we see them prior to the?
The issue is that the applicant has to file all plans with the department 10 days prior to the zoning board
Okay.
hearing.
Yeah.
That's a statutory
Well,
requirement.
if the revisions are based on our recommendations, I would propose that whoever.
So then that's the supplemental
Takes a look
comment
at it
then,
and
yes.
then just testifies that, yes,
right.
this is what we wanted.
Yeah, so whoever is the designated member to attend the zoning board meeting,
Yeah.
I'll be sure to provide a set of the plans to them, and they can review, should the applicant revise and submit.
Okay, and that's February 19th.
Correct.
And,
So if you're just following, so if you guys do proceed and make the modifications to the plans as presented here, I'll provide a copy to a member of the commission who will be at the meeting and can speak to the board and say, yes, this is everything that we asked for.
You
Plans are
said we
good.
have to submit 10 days before? For the
Correct.
zoning board?
Mhm.
So could I submit something before that to you guys, or who could I?
Oh, for preliminary.
who
You
could I-
certainly could, yeah, it depends on your timeline as far as getting this stuff in. I was just looking at the calendar. So the 10-day submission deadline would be Friday, February 6th. So 1 week from today is your submission deadline.
Yeah, I think I can make those updates before that. I think I'd rather have your approval, just to make sure that everything's good.
Sure. So, yes, as soon as you get sent something over, I can share it with the revisions committee members and we can take a look at that, so. make sure.
yeah, we usually meet on Fridays, so if you could do it by next Friday, would that give us?
Well, he has to submit them stamped in the office on Friday, the
Oh.
day that we'll be getting together. So something digitally in advance I can try and share out and see if we get some preliminary comments, so, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, good, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So now we'll take a break. What's that?
No, I said you want to take this back.
Yes, we're gonna
Yes,
take
right
that.
now. Are we all set?
Yes, sorry. Okay, we're back on the record.
Okay, gentlemen, would you raise your right hands, please? You solemnly swear the testimony you're going to give this commission is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
I do. And could you identify yourselves and tell us your relationship to the applicant?
My name is Paul Sionis. I'm the architect.
Stephen Plofker, member of the LLC.
Thank you.
Good evening. So we have before us a referral from the Board of Adjustment, application 2664, 3A North Willow Street, Montclair Unicorn Partners. This is a use variance and site plan approval to permit office use on the first floor and construct an addition to the building. It sits within the Town Center Historic District, and I believe it's one part that sits in the Town Center Historic District.
Yes, there's 3 lots that comprise this application. I think it's just the lot, is it lot 3, I think? Sorry,
I have it here. Lot 3 is currently developed, this is the historic significance, with a 1921
yeah,
one-story.
So it's lot 3 is the only lot of the 3 lots there within the district.
Okay. So it's a circa 1921 one-story brick commercial building with 4 retail spaces and a separate 1890 two-story brick commercial building fronting Bloomfield Avenue. And then Lot 301 is located to the rear of Lot 3 and is developed with a 2-story rusticated concrete block and brick commercial building constructed circa 1883. Both structures are located in the Town Historic District and are listed as harmonizing, altered in the 2003 Town Center Historic District Expansion Nomination Report. So I'm glad you're going to walk us through because I found it very difficult to understand it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
So,
Go ahead, Steve.
members of the commission, we are proposing to merge the building that's on Bloomfield Avenue with the one-story warehouse behind it. The main reason is that when they're one lot, we can take advantage of the 15%, being able to add 15% to the total structure with no further approval other than, in this particular case, site plan approval and whatever variances result from this particular use. Although it turns out, since we're proposing office use on the ground floor in the C1 zone, that we are then required to get a use variance, although there's really no other logical use for that ground floor space in that kind of hidden location. And Paul will take you through the plans in as much detail as you like. I know we're last on the agenda, but so it'd really be up to you how brief or not you want us to be.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, the applicant recently purchased this property. Originally, it was the Ice House for a liquor store that fronted onto Bloomfield Avenue. So there was Giblin's Liquor Store for many years in one of the one-story building that faces Bloomfield Avenue. And then this building was the Ice House where they actually made ice and cut the ice for the liquor store. Probably in the 1970s, in the 80s, when Giblin's Liquor Store closed, Larry Hollander, who owned Grove Pharmacy, bought the building and used it for storage for Grove Pharmacy. He then decided to sell it to a contractor. Contractor used it for contractor storage, contractor automobile parking, a shop and an office up until Stephen purchased the property. And as Stephen said, it's a use variance application before the zoning board because the plan is to make the building into office use, but it's a variance request because it's in the C1 zone, and the proposal is to put office use on the ground floor, but it's not, the property is not visible from any street. It's sort of landlocked behind many other properties. So I'll go through this quickly. So as you know, it's the north side of Bloomfield Avenue. It's an interior lot.
Show
Yeah.
the board the other properties that we own surrounding there, if you would, Paul.
Yeah.
So related entities that I own, and I don't, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember ever being for the commission on these other properties.
The only property we've come before the board for was, this is the corner property known as the Phoenix. That's 363 Bloomfield Avenue at the corner of North Willow and Bloomfield Avenue. We came before the planning board for an addition at the top of the building. The billiards, what we call the billiards building I'm pointing to, that's also owned by the applicant. There's the two-story building that's, what does that have, a restaurant on the first floor currently?
The Noam one?
And then there's the one-story building where Giblin's Liquor Store previously was. And then this gray-colored, unusual shape is a courtyard that was previously a wood deck that probably in the early 80s, late 1970s, the owners of these properties built a wood deck, a wood pressure-treated deck, thinking that this section of Bloomfield Avenue would get developed with restaurants and people would want to sit in the back on that wood deck. And then this 3A North Willow Street is where I'm pointing to. The green section is a pedestrian right-of-way. That's a public walkway that leads from North Willow Street down to Lackawanna Plaza. The purple area is Lot 18, which is a parking lot for 27 cars. That's also owned by the applicant, and also 7 North Willow Street I'm pointing to, that's also owned by the same owners, in addition to this parking area for 7 North Willow.
And the corner lot?
Well, in the corner lot, this corner lot, that property is currently under construction. We received approvals from the planning board for 4 levels above 2 levels of parking, and that construction is underway.
So is there an extra level of parking more than what's required for the apartments, so we have extra parking for the commercial uses in the building that Paul mentioned?
Right.
Paul, could I interrupt for a second?
Sure.
I'm just confused by one thing. The Giblin Liquor Store, was that the two-story structure?
That was in the one-story structure.
All right, because the survey form from the 1980s has a photograph of the Giblin store as a two-story structure.
Two-story structure. So, okay, I'd like to see.
So, yeah, that's...
It was before my time, and I would have no problem with that.
So, in the 80s, Giblin's Liquors had relocated to the one-story building.
All right, so it moved. Okay.
I did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you.
We have come to the commission for the building on the other side of North Willow Street, the northwest side of the Bloomfield Avenue intersection, a building we call the Diva Building, which we're starting demolition now, and we'll probably come back there because as we're uncovering materials, especially on the Willow Street facade, we kind of liked what we see. So we're probably going to alter the facade with the commission's approval, and we'll be back there. Won't we, Paul?
I'm not the architect of that.
Oh, yeah, right.
The architect on there?
Forgot that one. Mr. Reimnitz. Nobody knows.
Thank you. So I skipped slide 1, but slide 1 was basically a Bing Map satellite view. Slide 2 that I just described is also an aerial view, but it specifically shows the individual properties. Slide 3 is the tax map that shows that part of the application is this lot 3.01, lot 3, which faces Bloomfield Avenue, and then lot 18, which is an existing parking lot. And as I said, there's no street frontage for lot 3.01. Next slide, number 4, is the zoning map, and it's in the C1 zone. And one of the reasons we're going before the zoning board is because the C1 zone does not allow office use on the first floor. We're proposing office use on all 3 floors of the building. Next slide, slide number 5, is the survey map on the left, and then some existing site photos. The top left photograph is the That's the Ice House building. That's the view as taken in a photograph last June. This top right, I described wood decks that were constructed between this Ice House building and the one-story building that fronts onto Bloomfield Avenue. So there's a series of pressure-treated wood decks and wood stairways that provide the second means of egress for that two-story building that Tom had the historic reference to when Gibbons was in that two-story building. Bottom left photo is a photo of the wood deck that's there now. It's not in good shape. On the right side of the photo, you see the rear of that one-story building that faces Bloomfield Avenue. That one-story building is 339-345 Bloomfield Avenue. And then the bottom right photo is the public alley. So as I said before, there's a public alley or public right-of-way, a pedestrian right-of-way that leads from North Willow between several buildings all the way down to Lackawanna Plaza. And that's a view of that public alley. So it walks past several buildings. Next slide, number 6, are more photographs of the existing conditions. Top left is a view looking to the north, the south wall of that Ice House building. So it has this rusticated block on the majority of the building. It's also partially brick. Top right is looking at that south wall of that Ice House building. A lot of the windows, as you can see, were closed up over time. They filled in with concrete block. Some of the windows that were installed in those openings were much smaller than those masonry openings. The image on the left is from the deck. So that's looking to the left is that one-story building facing Bloomfield Avenue. Straight ahead is that two-story building that in the image had Gibbons Liquors on the first floor. Straight ahead where I'm pointing to is a three-story building that we refer to as the billiards building that has Jazz House Kids in the lower level right now. And then on the right of this bottom left photo is the Ice House as seen from the deck. And then also on the bottom right is another view of the Ice House. And you can see some nice arched openings that had been infilled over time with concrete block. Next slide. Sorry, number 7. If we could get to it. Slide number 7 is the site plan. So the parking lot will remain as it is, the existing 27-car parking lot. We're proposing to remove the wood deck, create a masonry courtyard with masonry pavers at ground level in that courtyard. Restore or fix up that existing Ice House building, but add a partial third floor. And then do a series of metal balconies and a metal stair to connect everything, to connect the Ice House building to the two-story building facing Bloomfield Avenue. And the balconies and stairs will also have access to the new masonry courtyard. We're also proposing to remove the wood steps on the back of that one-story building and replace them with new metal stairs to match the main metal stair tower. We're also proposing new planters in this area. Historically, there's just been weeds growing up in this space, but we're proposing fiberglass planters with planting that will be shade tolerant and also native planting within this courtyard. The trees out in Lot 18, those will remain. We're also proposing a new trash enclosure that will be common to all of the properties that are owned by the applicant. So there's a large metal trash enclosure. We reviewed this with Joe Vuich of Suburban Engineering, the consulting engineer for the town. And he suggested we place one large metal trash enclosure with a roof where I'm pointing to. So we won't lose any parking spaces, but it'll be between spaces to the north and to the south. This, it's hard to see on the slide, might be better to see, but these are also from Bing Maps. The image on the left is the existing conditions. Image on the right shows the proposed partial third floor addition and the metal balcony that would be on the south side of that building. As you can see, the building is pretty much hidden from view from any of the public streets, from Bloomfield Avenue and also from North Willow. The next slide, slide number 9, is another Bing satellite view. This is on the left image is North Willow Street, the parking lot, the 27-car parking lot, and the subject property is what I'm pointing to in the back of the parking lot and behind these buildings. And then the image on the right shows the new partial third-floor addition on the subject building. Slide number 10, just to help you visualize, this is a view looking straight on of this building. So the existing bottom two floors is this rusticated block. And the proposal is to do a new brick addition on the third floor to reopen all of the windows that we can open within the block. So all of the masonry openings will be reopened except where we're not allowed to. So the ones on the left are along the public alley and they're right on the property line, so we cannot put glass where there never was glass before. So we're putting new glass storefronts and also new windows within the existing openings. So the new brick that we're showing is to match the brick that's on the building now, and I'll show that when we walk around to the other side of the building. We're also proposing a new metal balcony up at this third floor level with a standing seam metal roof canopy to cover that balcony. The next slide, number 11, some more views to help you picture what's going on, both with the existing and the proposed. The bottom left is a 3D view looking at the building from the lower edge of that parking lot. So the building on the right, that's the billiards building with number 347. That lower floor is the headquarters for Jazz House Kids. This is the new brick addition on the top, and then we're proposing this new metal stair that'll provide second means of egress from that two-story building that had the Giblin's Liquors on the first floor years ago, but also provide access to the balconies to the second and third floor of the Ice House building. The image on the right, that would be looking through the window of the billiards building. That's the only way you would see that view. So it shows that new metal stair tower and the relationship of the stair tower and that new masonry courtyard, and also some of the new windows that will be in the existing masonry openings. Next view is slide number 12. This is a straight-on view of the south elevation of this Ice House building. So this shows that rusticated block on the first two floors. For some reason, the right-hand or the eastern side of those two floors was brick and has always been brick. And then originally, we had a different material for the third floor. At the Development Review Commission, one of the planning board members said he'd prefer we didn't use a different material, that he's received complaints if people don't use brick on buildings in the downtown. So this currently shows brick at this third floor. Tom Connolly made a good comment that if we're going to match the brick on the first two floors, maybe at least we put a horizontal brick or stone band to separate the new from the existing. But this shows the third floor balcony with the new metal roof canopy, a second floor balcony that would access a door from the second floor of the Ice House, and then the courtyard below, and this is a partial view of that stair tower.
Will we ever see that view from anywhere?
I don't believe you'll ever see this view except for on the roof of maybe the one-story building in front, or on a ladder on the roof of the one-story building. It's a nice view, though. Next slide, slide 13, just walks around the building to show the different elevations. Again, hard to see these views in reality. The top left, the northwest elevation, again, that's the view from the bottom of the existing 27-car parking lot. The top southeast elevation, that little cutout, that rectangular cutout, is actually the shape of that public right-of-way. This would be a view that would be tough to see also, but this is looking at the southeast corner of this building. We're cutting out a roof terrace on the third floor to have an amenity for the third floor tenants and not to cover the entire surface area of the roof of the two-story building. Northeast elevation, also tough to see. There's an existing one-story building that adjoins this ice house building. You might see part of the ice house, the new addition for the ice house, but this might be tough to see unless you're on the roof of that one-story portion of the building that's surrounded by the chain link fence with barbed wire on top that faces Lackawanna Plaza. Southwest elevation, I showed you a nicer view of this, but this shows the original rusticated block, the existing brick, the existing masonry openings that will be returned to glass, the adjacent building next door where the restaurant is facing Bloomfield Avenue, Fascino, and then the new third floor addition. The floor plans are all proposed to be office use. This is the ground floor. There'll be new pedestrian entries where I placed the red triangles to show where the pedestrian entries are. All of this area between this building and the buildings to the south on Bloomfield Avenue are to be the new masonry courtyard, again with the planters, but with a new metal stair tower and steel balcony above. Floor above is also, as I said, all floors are to be office use. That there's no visibility from any of the surrounding streets, so it wouldn't make sense to put a retail use on that ground floor. So the existing first floor above is about 2,800 square feet. So again, it's open office space with bathrooms. And then there'd be this metal balcony off of the south side of that building. Second floor, it's a smaller office space. We're limited to the square footage based on combining this property, 3.01 with 3.0. If we keep to 1,889 square feet of new addition, it minimizes the site plan approval and doesn't require any additional parking. So we're allowed to add the 15% to the two properties, which is the 1,889 square feet. So this top floor, the second floor, will have a roof terrace above part of the existing roof. The roof plan, we're proposing that the HVAC units or the rooftop units will be on this flat roof. We're proposing a 3-foot 6-inch high parapet wall around the entire roof area. Some of the details. The bottom right, we're proposing planters within that courtyard. There'll be fiberglass planters 40 inches high, so we can actually plant trees within there. We're calling for 2 witch hazel trees. They're native to New Jersey. They bloom in January and February. They're very hardy. And then the other, so one planter on each of the 2 groupings will have a witch hazel tree, and the other 4 planters will have these sedge grasses, these grasses that grow to about 18 inches tall that are also native to New Jersey, but they're evergreen, so it'll be a pretty interesting look inside the courtyard. The light fixtures, the majority of these light fixtures are the light fixtures that are on the site now. The only new fixture we're calling for is this Type A, which is a pretty nondescript dark bronze down pointing light fixture. So that will be placed under the balcony and around the perimeter of the building. There's an existing public service type utility pole, that's that Type E. There are these light fixtures, these emergency lights that are on the building now. Type D is already on the building. And then we have one small fixture, which is the Type F, which is going underneath the stair platform of the stair tower just for safety. Again, we're calling for new concrete pavers throughout the courtyard. The color hasn't been selected yet. New trash enclosure. So as I said, there'll be the new trash enclosure as reviewed by Joe Vuich, the consulting engineer. The trash enclosure will be 6 feet tall. It'll be metal, galvanized steel metal trash enclosure with a corrugated metal roof. And this will accommodate the dumpsters that are currently on the property now. There's a masonry wall that's required to be constructed at the property line for fire rating. So this is just a detail of that masonry wall. Next slide, or the signage master plan. One of the things that came up at the Development Review Commission was how are people going to find this building? It's hard to find now, so we needed some type of wayfinding. to let people know it's there. The bottom left image, which is sign number 2, would be a painted ghost sign, and this would be on the rear of the Phoenix building. So the Phoenix building is the building that's at the corner, at the southwest corner of North Willow and Bloomfield Avenue. It has a partial blank brick facade facing the parking area. So the plan is to have a ghost sign painted on there. The applicant will decide what it will say. We think it's going to say, the Ice House with maybe a tastefully painted arrow pointing to the Ice House, so people will know where it is. Other signs were, as shown in the bottom right image, there'll be one larger sign above the pedestrian walkway stating, that'll say Ice House. There'll be a smaller sign to the left of the main entry door to the first floor, and we anticipate, and we called for a couple of business directory signs next to the other doors, just so it'll have the name of the business, and people will know which door to go into. And then the last 3 slides, this one is a streetscape view from North Willow Street. So the applicant owns 7 North Willow. That's where Pete's restaurant is, on the front of the first floor on North Willow. This is the Phoenix building on the right side here. And then this is the Ice House as seen in the distance past the existing parking lot. And then this is the building that I'm pointing to that's just a shadow. That's a building, I think it's an auto parts use that's in a building that fronts onto Lackawanna Plaza. And primarily what you're seeing in this is the chain link fence that surrounds the roof of that auto parts business. And as I said, it's the top of it's all barbed wire currently. The pedestrian right-of-way that I described, that's where I'm pointing to between that auto parts business and the Ice House business. But it weaves around and extends along the rear sidewalk directly on the north side of the Phoenix building. The next slide, number 21, is the streetscape view from Bloomfield Avenue. Working from left to right, so we've got the partial view of the Phoenix building on the left, the billiards building, because it had a billiards parlor, is the second one to the east of North Willow Street. We've got the 2-story building, the 1-story building, 343 Bloomfield Avenue, and then the Ice House, which is to the rear of these 2 buildings behind the courtyard. And then the bottom is a sightline study. We drew a person standing on the south side of Bloomfield Avenue and showing their line of sight, where they would have to stand to start to see part of this billiards building. The Ice House building. And then the last slide. So this view should help you understand the site and how the adjoining buildings relate to this.
No music, Paul?
So you can see the courtyard, you see the Ice House. That's the parking lot. That's the billiards building. Jazz House Kids is down there. So the point of doing this was it helps to explain. We needed to do this at the beginning for us to understand what's happening. I mean, it's easy to draw it in 2D, the stairs and the balconies. But anything else?
No.
Oh, well, thank you.
I just had a technical question just before we get into this. for purposes of preparation of the public notice, it seems like, I just want a clarification, the new trash enclosure that we've added to the plans, does that straddle the common property line between lot 18 and 17?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to have to add lot 17 to the application. And then the sign, the ghost sign, is going to go on the back of the building on lot 1?
Correct.
So lot 1 will have
Gets
to be
added
added
also?
to the application as well. And then is there any, I was just trying to clarify, is there any work that's associated with this application that occurs on lot 2? I'm wondering if that should probably just be added.
No.
It looks like, is there some paving? No,
Can't
there's
hurt to add it.
nothing. Oh, yeah, I'm just thinking,
Well,
if
you're-
we
you're-
just blanket and added in.
You're right, Graham. There's
Notice
some of the concrete paver
Yeah,
sidewalk.
some of the masonry courtyard looks like it extends onto that property.
Correct,
Looks like-
correct.
okay.
It's about 4 feet.
So really, just to clarify, we're involving, it looks like lot 17, 18, 1, 2, 3, and lot 3.01.
Right.
Okay, just wanted to, it's a lot of elements here, just want to make sure we're on top.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
That's okay. All right, then. Are you finished with the
Yeah,
presentation?
I am.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Just a couple quick ones. The ghost sign on the Phoenix building, is that just going to be for the ice house, or are there going to be signs related to the individual tenants on that?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the
I
plan
think
was
it's
for
just
the...
descriptive sign for the ice house
Right.
or directional. It's kind of hidden back there, so. It'd be, I think the intent is for it to look like it's been there for
100 years.
100 years.
And are there any plans to put an addition on the 343 building?
Which one's 343?
That's the
That's a
one-story
one-story.
building.
We're tapped out with square footage, and I have I guess I technically have parking, since the parking lot's not committed, but no, we have no use. And if we would have come in probably now with it.
Just curious
They're
with the
fully
sight
tenanted.
line.
All those
Yeah.
buildings, I think we have zero vacancy in all the buildings that I've showed you, so no, it'd be a really difficult construction with tenants in there.
But there's always potential for that, right? So,
Yeah.
But I don't,
Yeah.
I would, I'd never say never, but I'd be very surprised if you ever saw me back here with a proposed addition to that building.
Do you have any questions? Mr. Rooney?
I'm fine.
I have a question about the staircase. That staircase, what does that service? Does that just service the ice house, or does that service, or
So-
is it connecting between the
It-
building in the front and the building and the ice house?
Yes. So it leads from it's the second means of egress for the two-story building.
Okay.
That faces Bloomfield Avenue. They have a rear door that currently accesses onto the pressure-treated wood stairway.
Right.
And then it also services the balconies, both at the new third floor, the second floor, and also goes down to the ground level.
So how, in that courtyard space in the back that is there currently, how big is the staircase? How much does that occupy? Does that occupy?
The current stair or the new stair?
Well, the new one. No,
Oh, the new stair. Let's see if I could...
Do you have it more stacked as opposed to the other one that seems very?
Yeah, the other one is more linear. This is just a square shape.
Yeah, so it's stacked.
It's stacked, yes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, the other one's kind of Robinson
The
Crusoe
other one
type.
comes out at a 90-degree turn,
Right.
just pretty unattractive.
So that courtyard, which we can't see, is behind that staircase, and
Yeah.
and you'll be able to, the tenants will be able to use that as an interior.
So let's assume that the current balcony is up. Paul, would you say it's 8 feet from grade? Paul, how high would you think the current balcony is? 8 feet? Between 6 and 8 feet off of current grade? The current wood balcony. It turns out that the facade of this building, the ice house, and the building, the brick building across the courtyard are very beautiful. I mean, they're just great old funky masonry. And the width of the courtyard, I believe, is 20 feet? How big?
20 feet.
20 feet, which from my perspective is a wonderful sort of intimate courtyard. We're going to try to eliminate the columns for the balcony. We'll just put a bigger piece of steel there. So I think it'll feel like a 20-foot span. It's just a really, could be a very wonderful, cozy space. That'll really be for only the benefits of the retail tenants facing Bloomfield Avenue. May use it for possibly seating. We'll have to create new stair down because their doors currently in the courtyard are up 6 or 7 feet. And for the office tenants, the new office tenants in the proposed Ice House building.
Oh, I see. So the courtyard will be on the ground?
Yes.
Correct. Ground-
Okay, so you're,
right.
okay.
So
currently-
it's currently raised up about 6 feet.
Right.
But we're
Which
taking it
is
down to
at current, close to grade to the Bloomfield Avenue
first floor.
tenants.
Right.
Yes, to their ground floor. And so they'll be required to come down a set of stairs to get to this
Yeah,
courtyard
but I
now.
could see your point. When you remove that, you'll really open up the buildings, the facade of the
The
buildings.
character of the masonry, I mean, it's old and funky, but it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, and it's a shame to cover up that,
That's gonna get.
6 or 8 feet.
Yeah.
And the balcony really doesn't work. It's-
The wood deck that's there now doesn't work.
Even standing there in front of it, I couldn't understand.
Yeah.
But
it's-
Paul, I think we should eliminate the columns underneath the deck. I think we'll be able to span that with steel.
Right, we'll still have one column at the corner.
Yeah, one at the
Right.
corner, but we might be able to
To
span
span.
the whole thing.
Correct.
And just, I think that would really make a better courtyard.
That's about 50 feet.
Well, we might need one intermediate column, but I
And
think we
which
can
sheet
do
are
it
you
less.
referring to there?
Sorry, we're looking at slide 12.
Slide 12, just for the benefit of the commissioners.
And again, you'll never see this. You can see it from a helicopter or from in it, but it's
Right.
not visible from any streetscape whatsoever. Not that we don't value your opinion even on these, intangible things.
And then the planters will be used in that courtyard space?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll probably put sprinkler system in the planters, so they'll be fairly self-sustaining, except for weeding.
So, what does everybody else think?
No, I'm in favor of the application. I don't have
And,
any comments or
Mr. Conley?
recommendations.
Yeah, you had a comment that I think Paul picked up on about the
brickwork.
right, the brickwork.
Yeah, so if we follow the standard for rehabilitation, right, we should be showing a change from the historic to whatever the proposed is. So there's a million ways you could do that, so I suggested 2 or 3. But maybe introducing some kind of change in the brick from, if you were going to keep brick as a material on the proposed 3rd story, which I think works well with all the surrounding structures.
By the way, we'd hope that the commission wouldn't mind brick face. We don't really have structure probably to put full brick, but we'd
you're
be
talking about
proposing.
thin brick.
Thin brick, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thin
brick.
that- yes, the real brick, but the much thinner version.
So it's really not going to look like the masonry that's currently there. It'll be slightly different, right?
Yeah, no, we're talking about, and we're happy if you want to.
No, I think it would.
And come back and approve the material. We're
Compositionally,
always open
from
to that.
Bloomfield Avenue, I think it'll blend in with the structures that are currently there, which we'd be talking completely differently if this building did front Bloomfield Avenue.
Right.
Correct. Right.
And Paul, and sorry to engage my architect in a conversation, but I also think we should open up those window doors facing the courtyard, because they're likely to be entrances to tenant spaces.
I'm sorry, which window?
In that elevation that
These-
you have.
yeah,
They're
these
right
are-
there. Yeah, under the,
Yeah,
yes.
those are new glass in the existing filled-in openings.
I think we should make larger openings. I think that's a wonderful.
That was a question I did have, though, was all the windows that you're proposing in the existing building are in existing
We're-
openings, or you were
we're
not
only
opening
showing
up.
existing
So,
openings.
yeah,
I
I
would
would be
like-
concerned about,
I would like the ability, especially if it's not seen from any street, to be able to make larger openings in some of those facades. That's my opinion. And as I see it, we generated a lot of this for this meeting, and I haven't had the benefit of looking at it all, but I think that tenant spaces on that ground level should be accessed from that space.
Or to
And I
have
would-
them to have access to the courtyard, right?
Yes, I would like there to be much larger openings.
So currently, the way you have it drawn, the access is from the west side?
There's access here,
Oh.
and around the corner.
so where there was a bay door though, right, that there was no
Right.
bulkhead there, right, that the
Yeah.
glass or
So-
the door
so-
went all the way to grade.
Right, so these were existing openings here
Right.
and over here. But around the corner, around the backside, those are existing openings. So what Stephen's suggesting is it might be nicer to bring these down to the courtyard level at some of these openings. So whoever the tenant is, they could easily have access to this courtyard.
And these are not, they're representative of the size of the windows, are in no means representative of the character and quality of the windows. We've been using some, what do you would call it, steel, we're not using steel windows, we're using steel replica windows. Whether aluminum or wood, we've been experimenting a lot in different projects with that, and we've really got the look down really well to do very almost floor-to-ceiling openings. And I think it would be much more effective in that courtyard
But are
than
you,
the small openings that we're showing here.
are you proposing those as two doors now, or two larger windows?
You know, I have to be honest, I never know until I rent it up. I always sort of leave the large openings, and we sort of give ourselves flexibility to, if we rent 800-foot spaces or if we rent a 400-foot space, it sort of depends, you know. If it's one tenant, they don't want multiple openings, but if it's a lot of small tenants, they do. And so, my thought is that you don't see this from anywhere, any public space at all. It's almost like an internal window and door system in that. I would hope to have the flexibility to change those openings.
Well, creating new openings in historic buildings is generally not recommended by the standards. Right.
But it's not, it's,
It's not even close to being visible.
do you have a comment?
I think it looks like a great project, and I'm impressed the way you're able to create usable space out of this forgotten little building tucked away. You know, I've been there a million times. We go to a Pitts, however you pronounce it, all the time, and I've never really noticed it before, so I think it's going to be really great. And somehow to create this hub for all the buildings around the block that you own and a nice little space, courtyard, is a wonderful thing. So I'm in support of it.
I'm in support of it, too. I think you've done a good job with the variations of the facade materials and the metal. I'm just out of curiosity, do you, because I know we had another project fronted on Bloomfield Avenue, and there was a question about security. Do you have any security measures that you're going to put in there, or are you worried about that, or?
So I don't know how many buildings that, my entities own in that area. I just don't remember any security incidents at all. I mean, in 15 years, we don't have bars on the windows. Some of the tenants may have alarm systems, but we just have had zero problem. The parking lot has a manned attendant in it during working hours and many evenings, and there's enough activity between the 2 or 3 or 4 restaurants in the different buildings that is
It's
we
not-
just have had zero problem, and that's even with a pedestrian right-of-way going by there and people going there 24 hours a day. It's actually, now that the buildings around it have nicer and the town spent some money on the right-of-way, it's used very frequently. It's a wonderful cut-through. And I don't know the reason, but we just have had zero, to my knowledge, security issues. And I think the more activity there is, the better it is. Because,
Right.
you know, there's sort of always eyes on something.
Right.
Jazz House Kids certainly keeps long hours. And
So, you brought up the public alley. So the ice house, the one picture on page 5 is on the bottom right. That's the one wall. What's the other wall there? Is that masonry, or is that, it looks like, almost like plywood? On page 5, slide 5.
Or cinder block.
Cinder block?
Well,
Yeah.
there's two buildings that front on the ice house, neither of which, that front on the alley. The ice house is a very small portion of the alley, but the other buildings on both sides of the alley, we don't own.
So that, I think you're referring to
Yes.
that's that auto parts. Is it auto parts?
It's an auto parts
store.
retail store
That faces
and
Latin
warehouse.
Plaza.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it would be wonderful to make that alley more attractive.
Yeah.
But I think the town's going to need the cooperation of those two building owners to do that.
Yeah, well, I didn't know
Or-
if you own that as well. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's a really hidden gem. It could be much nicer than it is, but
Right.
Just building on that point, I know previously at the Development Review Committee meeting, we discussed the installation of festoon lighting along that facade of the building, fronting the public right-of-way alley, similar to the festoon lighting that's been installed on the side of the 491 Bloomfield Avenue building.
I'm not a
It's
fan of that lighting. I
Just
don't
wanted to
mind
see-
lighting on that facade, and I don't mind helping in, some LED lighting of the walkway, but I don't like the design of those particular lights. Just a little gimmicky for my personal taste.
Just a question. Notice the change.
Do you provide lights there now for that alley, or are you suggesting? Just
There's
a part, maybe on your building?
Right, there's a public service utility pole at the start of that alley.
Is there a street light on that?
It's right, yeah, it's right where I'm pointing to. There's a public service utility pole that's about 23 or 25 feet high. That's sort of a street light that illuminates the top of that right-of-way and shines over that one-story portion of that auto parts store.
Right.
To be honest, I need to go there at night and
And-
see it, to see
Right.
whether some LED lights would
Right,
would
it's a
help the
suggestion that I
environment,
think,
and
right.
I'm sorry, I can't talk intelligently about it right now. Yeah, do
Okay.
you have any idea?
Mr. Rooney, yes, and then, any,
No, it's going to be a great project.
all right. Well, I think, I look forward to it.
Would the commission like a subcommittee to review materials at all with us?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Great.
Once you get moving along.
Yeah, it will, much further down the road. And
Yeah, because it sounds as though you might add additional lighting to the side of the building there, or even interior.
Yeah, but you may want to see the brick that we're going to be using, since you'll
Yes.
see the
Right.
top portion of the building from across Bloomfield Avenue. And I think you'll like the window details that we're going to be proposing. But we're happy. And then the deck and the deck and balconies are so crucial to this. And so we're going to try to do something metal, but very contemporary, maybe with a wire railing or something.
Oh.
It's got to be open.
Right.
A kind of enclosed steel railing, I don't think it's going to have the right feel. It's got to be lighter, and so we're kind of, we'll have more details to share with you on that.
Okay. Sounds great.
So I think in summary that it was Mr. Connolly's condition, the recommendation for the differentiation of the material, return for final finish and material selection. And then the only other comment that I had heard or discussion of it was about the installation of signage. The applicant is proposing a new sign on, the building on Lot 1 is within the district, so I think a condition that the commission should ask for is that they come back for review of signage. Final,
Is this the ghost?
the ghost sign is on the rear of a building that's
Right.
within the district, correct?
Are you still working with subcommittees, so we
Yes.
can have to come
Yes.
back to the
Yes.
actual committee?
Yes, that can go through the minor
I mean,
application.
if you would do that, that's
Sure.
sort of more user-friendly
Yes.
for us.
Right, yeah, no, absolutely. Okay,
Good.
so, thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good night.
Okay. So, moving along, we have our 2020 goals and objectives. Did Graham print it out? What did you print out, Graham?
So I just extracted the goals and objectives from Section 8 of the Historic Preservation Goals and Objectives of the 2016 Historic Preservation Plan element of the master plan. So essentially, it kind of details the historic preservation goal is twofold and identifies those two, and then there's 9 objectives, sorry, it's 10 objectives listed, and my numbering is all weird. Sorry.
And I managed to pull out the 2019 goals and objectives, and out of 5 or 6, we actually met 4. So I think that's good. No. Our community outreach with the partnership with the Montclair Public Library and the Montclair History Center. We did 2 or 3 workshops. We did the partnership with Montclair State with the Pine Street Stories. We had our annual preservation awards in 2019. And then we conducted the cultural resource survey, and we suggested that Oak Croft and Willow Street be designated as residential neighborhoods, which was a huge project. And I think that, we've been working pretty steadfastly. The one thing that we didn't accomplish, but we've been talking about, is incorporating additional design guidelines in the Township Historic Preservation Resource. I know in these goals, it specifies commercial, but we have been talking about, and we've been meeting about the residential district, so we are moving along with that. And one of the other things I would like to do for next year is really to increase our outreach, especially with the realtors. And I think if we get that, the additional monies for the grant, for the additional brochures and things, we'll have a good start with that. Okay, then we have our resolution for Mr. Conley's sentence.
I move to adopt the resolution as proposed.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And, is a second?
Yep. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Graham, do you want
Thanks,
these
Walt.
for the zoning board?
It sounds